something goes wrong and your first thought is, "What did I do?" even when it had nothing to do with you. So why does your brain point the finger at yourself before it looks anywhere else?
Why do we blame ourselves for everything?
Okay, so here's the thing that gets me. When something goes wrong and you don't know why, that's actually terrifying. Like if it just happened randomly, it could just happen again, randomly, anytime. And you can't stop it. But if it's your fault, then I don't know. At least there's a reason. At least you can maybe do something differently next time. It's almost like taking the blame is less scary than thinking the world is just unpredictable. And there's the other thing too. If you blame yourself before anyone else does, you kind of get there first. Like, if you already said it was your fault, then nobody can turn around and punish you or get angry or, push you away. It's a bit like a smoke alarm, I think. It goes off really fast, sometimes too fast, but the mind would rather it go off when there's no fire than miss an actual one.
Why do we blame ourselves for everything?
I find this question straightforward to answer, actually. When something goes wrong and the cause is unclear, that ambiguity is uncomfortable. It is disorganized. Locating the problem inside yourself resolves that. It creates a clean equation. I did something wrong, therefore I can correct it, therefore the outcome improves next time. That is an orderly system. The difficulty is that it is not always an accurate system. Many situations involve variables that are not yours to manage. Timing, other people's decisions, circumstances outside your direct influence. But the mind does not always account for those. It sees what you did. It identifies a gap between that and the ideal outcome, and it files the whole event under your responsibility. That feels stable. It feels like something you can work with. It is, however, assigning you total ownership of something that was never fully yours to control.
Oh, sweetheart, this one goes way back for most people. So many of us learned really early that if we just said sorry first, if we just took the blame, things stayed calm. Nobody got upset, the room didn't go cold, the people we love stayed close. And that's such a powerful lesson to learn when you're small, because what matters most when you're little is that you feel safe with the people around you, so we get good at it. We get good at being the one who smooths things over, the one who says it was probably my fault, even when it wasn't really. And after a while, we don't even wait for someone else to point the finger. We do it ourselves, automatically, because somewhere inside we know that keeping the peace feels better than being right. Losing connection, dear, that's the thing that really hurts. And we'd rather be unfair to ourselves than risk that.
Why do we blame ourselves for everything?
Champ, think about it. If something goes wrong and you had nothing to do with it, what does that make you? Irrelevant, a bystander, nobody. But if it's your fault, you're still the one who mattered, still the one with influence, still the main event. That's not nothing. There's also the standards angle. High performers hold themselves to a certain level. When you identify as competent, as someone who delivers, any mistake feels like exposure, like the whole image cracks. So what does the mind do? It punishes you hard, internally, before anyone else can, forces you to do better so it never gets out. It looks like guilt. It's actually damage control. Self-blame in someone like that isn't weakness. It's the ego trying to protect the reputation. Even if nobody else even noticed the mistake. Doesn't matter. You noticed. And that's the only audience that counts.
Yes, well, what we're observing here is a rather consistent error in how the mind assigns cause and effect. You see, when something goes wrong, the mind tends to focus on what is most visible, your actions, your choices, what you said, what you did, what you perhaps failed to do. It largely ignores what is less visible, other people's decisions, random timing, structural factors entirely outside your influence. And then, there is this further conflation, which is quite important actually, between partial responsibility and total responsibility. The fact that you could have done something differently does not mean you caused the outcome. Those are categorically different statements, but the mind compresses them into one. It produces a tidy narrative, satisfying perhaps, but not particularly accurate. Put simply, the mind blames you because you're the easiest thing in the room to see.
Why do we blame ourselves for everything?
My child, when a storm passes through and a branch falls, the tree does not ask what it did wrong. It simply lost a branch to the wind. But we are not always so kind to ourselves. Self-blame has a certain pull to it. It makes a chaotic moment feel knowable. It keeps things smooth between us and the people we love. It whispers that if we just try harder, we can hold the edges of life in place. And sometimes that whisper is right. Sometimes we do carry a share of what went wrong, and it is worth looking at honestly. But there is a difference between tending to what is truly yours and gathering up everything that fell, whether it belonged to you or not. Influence is not the same as control. Responsibility is not the same as blame. The fairest thing we can do for ourselves is learn to tell the difference.
If you made it this far, you're gonna want to see what comes next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our next video, and click the video on screen now to keep learning more. See you in the next video.